Welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. As longtime viewers know, my garage is pretty filled with junk. So when people offer to send me things, I'm always a little bit hesitant to accept other people's hoarded stuff to add to my hoarded pile, because I'm pretty efficient at hoarding by myself, and it does tend to get out of hand after a while. However, that being said, I am always a sucker for small satellite dishes or other oddball radio antenna hardware. And I've just received this big, interesting looking box in the mail, so let's see what's in here. Let's see, we've got all kinds of little sub boxes and one slightly bigger box. This is a fascinating protective clamshell around this thing. So what we have here is a Glowcom GX10 satellite data terminal. So we have the ODU, outdoor unit, the antenna, the indoor unit. This is apparently basically a satellite modem. So we've got all these cool little waterproof ports here. We've got fax port, remember faxes? We've got telephone, USB, LAN, ISDN. Remember ISDN? I don't even know if that's still around anymore. Antenna jack, power jack, fuse. Over here, we've got Wi-Fi. We've got all of our status lights, power button, and we have a SIM card slot because this actually uses SIM cards just like a cell phone for access control. So that's kind of cool. I have actually never messed around with a satellite modem quite like this or a satellite terminal quite like this, but this thing is basically brand new. The person who sent it to me prefers to remain anonymous, but they came across some of these surplus from a government agency and sent me this package. And yeah, it even smells new. Everything was basically in the original box. I don't know if this has ever even been used. We've got a few accessories with it. We've got the antenna cable. We've got this kind of wacky power cable with the proprietary adapter, and then just a 12-volt adapter on the end. We have magnetic feet, so we can stick this antenna on top of a car, because this is a mobile satellite terminal or vehicle-mounted satellite terminal. We also have some software in yet another relic of the old days, a compact disc. I don't know if I even have a computer that still has a CD drive, so I might have to dig one out of the museum to read this. Got a couple other accessories, Wi-Fi antenna, some spare fuses. Now, if you're like me, you might be asking, how the heck is this flat thing a satellite antenna? This is not big enough to have a dish inside there. Let's open this thing up and see just what's inside the antenna unit. So this has little stepper motors in here to rotate the antenna and then elevate it to point at things, but instead of a parabolic reflector, we have this series of helical feeds. This transmits up to space, so it has this massive heat sink and fan here. This is going to be a high-power transmitter unit. We've got probably receiver hardware in here to get the incoming signal. We also have a pretty nice GPS patch antenna on the top here. Lots of fancy electronics in here. Very well made, very high-end stuff. This is much higher quality than the consumer electronics tailgater and WineGuard dishes that I've been looking at. So we have a few more details on the back of the antenna here. Again, this is a Glowcom GX10 ODU, stands for outdoor unit, tracking antenna, and it looks like the feed system here is made by Spacecom in Denmark. You can see all these little SMA connectors that go out to the individual helical feeds. Again, very nice motion control system here. We even have a little idler pulley. I bet this works a lot better with a lot fewer grinding noises than some of the WineGuard dishes I was looking at more recently. Now, I'm not going to open up the indoor unit. I assume it's just going to look kind of like any consumer electronics product. There's going to be a motherboard, maybe some daughter boards, heat sinks. So this thing uses the Inmarsat system. That is a series of geostationary orbit communication satellites. Those are frequently used for satellite telephones, data terminals like this. A lot of slightly older legacy satellite internet, so stuff from the early to mid-2000s. These are not used as much anymore on a small-time basis. These days, a lot of places are going with Starlink. You still find these on ships, on oil rigs, on big government facilities, but anybody with a vehicle, with a smaller boat, with just a normal everyday use for satellite data is probably not going to use something this old and this large. Since I've never played with one of these before, we're going to take the drastic measure of reading the manual. And I did find a laptop antique enough to have a CD drive. If it'll even open, this thing probably hasn't had a CD for 10 years. Alright, we've got a little brochure on here with some info about the unit. So as I said, it's designed for government-type vehicles. This is a BGAN network, broadband global area network. So like a wide area network, but a global area network. And we've got some use cases, we've got various specifications and whatnot. So here's something that I'm interested in, the transmit frequency and receive frequency. So as I thought, these are L-band. The receive frequency is 1525 to 1559 megahertz. That's kind of similar to GPS frequencies. And then the transmit frequency is 1625 to 1660. So that should be something we could look at with a HackRF1. All right, that is more than enough boring documentation. Let's just turn this thing on and see if it finds a satellite. As usual, we're using only the highest quality of milk crate-based antenna mounts. For this test, I have a bunch of nonsense set up. We have our outdoor unit antenna. We have our indoor unit Glowcom GL10. We have a laptop hooked up to that. We have jets going overhead, so I'll have to reshoot this because there's a bunch of jet noise now. We have another laptop hooked up to a Newelec HackRF1, and that is to kind of snoop on the transmitter frequency and see if this is actually sending anything up to the satellite. Now we've got C-130s going overhead, so we've got even more engine noise. Alright, if the local air traffic will calm down for 10 seconds, I'll be able to finish this part of the video. We've got a couple potential issues here. I do not have a SIM card, so if this is transmitting, it's basically going to be telling the Inmarsat satellite, hey, I'm an unauthorized terminal, I don't have credentials. With Iridium satellites, with an Iridium terminal, they do have a way to send a remote kill signal when they see an unauthorized terminal. I don't know if Inmarsat has that. With Iridium, you can do a factory reset and get around that, but there's always the possibility that there is some remote bricking system in place for stuff like this. Why am I risking this at all then without a SIM card? Well, a SIM card for this system costs something like $300, and that's for a whopping 5 minutes of airtime and like 20 megs of data. So I am actually considering that. I'm considering paying $300 for a SIM card, but before I fork over that amount of cash, I'd like to know if all this works. Alright, it seems like it has found the azimuth for the satellite, and now it's trying to peak the elevation, so it's moving the antenna up and down a little bit. Okay, we've got our browser connected to the modem, we've got some alerts, there's no SIM, we're saying not registered on the network, not attached. It looks like we've received a little bit of background data, and we've actually transmitted some data according to this. Okay, I think we just transmitted. We're getting some little blips here on approximately the right frequency range. So I think we're locked on to the Inmarsat satellite, which means if I start moving this antenna around, it should try to keep itself oriented in the same direction. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's cool. So even without this thing moving, the antenna element keeps shifting around just a little bit like it's trying to stay locked onto that satellite. I don't know if it's having issues with the GPS or if it's getting reflections from me because I'm standing far too close to it. I'm supposed to be at least a meter away from this. Alright, so this thing is pretty cool, but it doesn't really do anything without a SIM card. So this is the part where your support really comes in handy. If people jump over to Patreon, you can send me a couple bucks a month, and it really helps me do stupid projects like this. It really helps me afford to play around with weird old technology like this. This is not a sponsored video other than somebody sending me obsolete technology. I'm paying for all this out of my own pocket. So again, Patreon is a great way to support stuff like that. YouTube membership supports stuff like that. So if you're willing to do that and help out, I very much appreciate it. All the links are in the description below. Now, I did actually go on Google. I looked up every company that offers a Inmarsat BGAN VSAT SIM card, and I emailed just about every company and asked them, hey, I want to try this out. I want to show off this VSAT BGAN thing. Will you sponsor me? Will you send me a SIM card? Complete crickets. Nobody even replied. Which makes sense. Companies that offer stuff like this is so old, nobody uses this anymore except oil companies, the government, People who have infinite money, they do not care about small-time users like me. They are absolutely not going to sponsor somebody like me who just wants to play around with this before it goes completely into the history books and stops being used in favor of Starlink and modern technologies. So I'm basically just going to go online and try to find the cheapest service plan I can possibly get my hands on. Okay, welcome back. It has been, well, not a week as it usually is when I do one of these jump cuts and interrupt a video to bring in a new piece of equipment, because thanks to Amazon, I ordered a SIM card last night at 9 p.m. and it showed up this morning at 9 a.m. So 12 hours and I have a SIM card in my hand. As someone who grew up in Alaska and got mail maybe once a week if the weather was good enough for the plane to land in the front yard, I am still amazed by the wonders of modern logistics. Well, here we go. I got the cheapest one I could find with 50 units. I think that corresponds to 50 minutes of airtime, or as it says on here, 5.5 megabytes of data. So I can basically send one modern photo with this. Again, huge thanks to my Patreon supporters who are funding me making questionable financial choices like this. This is like worse than a dial-up connection in the 90s, but we're still going to try it because it goes to space, and space is cool. So I'm supposed to activate this and then place a free test call to make sure that the activation was successful. I just realized I don't own a telephone. I have no way to test this. I mean, sure, I have a cell phone from 2020, and I have a US Army phone from World War II, and I have the red hotline that goes straight to the president down in the fallout shelter, but that's only wired to actually dial 911, and we don't need that. I don't know if I own any functional landline telephones made between 1940 and 2020. I just don't have them in the house. I don't even have a phone line to the house. Why would I have a phone? So this thing is some kind of novelty pocket telephone from the 90s. All right, I got all my equipment set up again, the antenna, the laptop, the modem, entered the activation number for the SIM card, and it says it'll take 24 hours to activate. So they shipped me the SIM card way faster than they'll activate it. So I guess I'll put this stuff back in the garage again. I'm not sure if I could dial this anyway. There's a plus in this phone number. I don't know what a plus means. That's some crazy European nonsense. American phones don't dial pluses. All right, well, my other satellite antenna up there tells me that it's about to rain because we're getting some pretty interesting stuff coming through that can be seen from the GOES satellite. So we'd better pack this stuff away for now. All right, we've spotted a UFO, except it's a party balloon. So it's another day and we're back again with the satellite terminal. I would love to tell you we're making progress on this, but we've hit another snag, not with the hardware, but with that stupid SIM card. It can only be activated by some office in the UK that only is open during UK work hours, which is like 9 hours different from me. So they're onto their weekend now. They also were not able to find my order, even though I gave them the SIM card number, I gave them the number on the envelope, I gave them all of the numbers and codes that they sent me with the thing. However, I do have great things to report on the landline telephone front. I have located a landline telephone, and it even has ye old spinny dial. This thing is dated 1973, so it is literally over 50 years old. I'm looking forward to testing it out with a satellite terminal. We're also going to figure out how do you dial a wacky European number with pluses in it on a rotary phone. All right, it actually took only another 12 hours. We do have our SIM card activated. This is also something called pulse dialing, which, yeah, that was a thing in the 1970s. I don't know if that's still around, and I don't know if this modem can handle pulse dialing. All right, Redneck ground station is good to go. We're going to get this turned on. I have a dial tone. I have a dial tone on a 1970s phone on a satellite terminal. Now, yeah, the dial tone is probably coming from the modem here, but let's see if we can actually dial. And I have to apologize for my video setup here. I'm outside, there's noise. I've got another project behind, several projects behind me, another satellite dish, a bunch of lumber. So this is a terrible shooting angle, as usual, and I don't know how the audio is going to be, but you know what? We make do with what we've got. Does not seem to be working. I still just have a dial tone. Let's try something else, which you probably can't see on this screen that's covered in dust and right in the sun, but I've tried to go to a website that I know has almost nothing on it, but we can't get there because we have no internet. So I've gone over to the PDP connections. I've enabled our connection control on the satellite modem. So let's see if we can get this website through space. No, it worked. We got it. There was a lot of lag because the signal had to go up to space, down to the ground station, back up to space, down to my computer. But we got our HTTP response from this website over the satellite modem. That's fantastic. I'm just going to deactivate that again just so there's no background data shenanigans from Windows Update or whatever. Again, terrible filming the screen here, but if you can see here, we actually did use some data. So we have 0.224 megabyte of background reception. So yeah, that is working. We have very expensive, very slow, very inconvenient satellite internet right now. Okay, since our 1970s pulse dialing doesn't seem to work with the mid-2000s satellite modem, and my little blue box here doesn't have good audio output, but it does have the keypad, I'm gonna see if I can dial with this guy and just listen to this guy. All right, we have dial tone. We have our dialer hooked up. I'm gonna try this 00 number. I like to think somebody's sitting at the Inmarsat Operations Control Center right now and just wondering, what is this idiot doing? All right, we're back at this again, and I have a new phone to try. I say new, but this is clearly from the 1980s, so I borrowed this from someone. We're gonna give it a shot. Unfortunately, the 80s phone does not work at all. I can't even get a dial tone on this one. I was gonna try to look through the manual again, but now the CD drive is having an issue, and I can't get the PDF to open up. I don't know if you can hear that, but the CD seems to be tearing itself apart in there. I guess that's what I get for trying to resurrect a bunch of outdated antiques like rotary phones and CDs and Inmarsat terminals. We actually just got something.
Welcome to the Inmarsat prepay service. The menu options have recently changed.
So it seems like the trick is this modem thing, Inmarsat, is based in the UK, so we have to dial a 00 when it says plus. Then we can dial our phone number, and then we actually have to dial a pound sign afterwards. And I am still using ye old Freedom phone here because it has a decent earpiece. This I still can't find a headset for, so this is the dial pad. This is what I use to listen and talk. It's really hard to film and get the audio off of the 1970s phone, so I'm gonna hook up the wireless mic, stick the microphone into the headset of the 70s phone, clip that onto the camera. All that means that the audio on this is gonna get changed and possibly get worse because nobody seems to like my wireless mics. We're redialing. Of course, this worked once and then it wouldn't work again when I go to film it. It's always the way of these things. Yeah, who knows? Maybe their network operations center has gotten tired of me spamming the test number and they've cut off my terminal. I don't know. Oh, it's working. I am calling myself right now. I think this is actually working. Hello?
Hello?
I am now calling myself over a satellite phone connection.
Over a satellite phone connection.
All right, that's really trippy.
All right, that's really trippy.
People confuse my channel with Peter Fairley's channel all the time, and this is not going to help at all. All right, so we've got it making phone calls. Let's hang up before I waste my $9 a minute. And let's try calling someone else. Since the modem here thinks it's in the UK, we're going to try a UK phone number to see if that goes through. It seems like we're having power issues between the modem, the dialing phone, and the audio part of the phone. So what happens if I turn on the little dial pad first?
Hi.
Hey, you got me?
Yeah, I have. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
I'm talking to you on the Freedom phone from space.
America!
America!
Yeah, I thought you very well. I mean, I live on a farm and have no phone signal, so it's amazing this is working so well.
So the procedure to make this work, make the call on the 90s box here, then hook up the candlestick phone because the modem can't handle the power draw of 2 phone units, so we got to do one at a time. But we were able to call the UK, we were able to talk to Scott, and I better make sure he's okay being on YouTube here. Let's try someone else. JT out at Sandland gave me this phone, which didn't end up working, but I told him I'd try to give him a call anyway, so let's try that next. And it's not working again. So I mentioned Peter Fairley earlier. He is another YouTube guy who does satellite phone stuff and general satellite projects. I'm sometimes confused with him. He gets confused with me. People think we are each other. He's another great YouTuber to watch if you like satellite stuff, especially satellite TV. He's been doing a lot of North Korean pirated TV stuff lately. Really cool stuff. So check out Peter Fairley's channel. I'm going to try to give him a call here. I know it probably won't work. I think he doesn't have his satellite phone turned on all the time. He has it go to a VoIP number, but we can at least try to leave him a voicemail. Still having some issues getting the dialing to work reliably.
This is Peter, and thanks for calling the sat phone. You probably want to talk to me, so leave a message, and I might call you back, and I might even put you on my channel for everybody to listen to our conversation. Okay, take care, and talk to you later.
Please leave your message after the tone. When done, hang up or press the pound key.
Peter, this is Gabe, Save It for Parts. I am calling you from an Inmarsat Glocom GX10 satellite phone terminal.
All right, I think that actually worked. We got through to Peter Fairley's voicemail, left him a message. Stay tuned to see if we actually get a two-way phone call with him. We'll try to do that in a future video, so yeah, you'll have to subscribe and make sure you don't miss that follow-up. All right, I think my little wireless mic has died, so I don't know if the audio is even working now. We've got the fuzzy rabbit back on there, but yeah, anyway, there's been some technical issues. I also can't find any of my friends who want me to make a voice call to them because nobody wants to use the phone. So, you know what, screw it, we'll just call a pizza place. Yeah, I'd like to get a large with bacon, sausage, mushrooms, onions. All right, it's getting dark out and I'm still waiting for my pizza, but in the meantime, I'm gonna try to make another phone call. We've got the phone number for the person who gave me the Inmarsat terminal, so I'm going to try to give them a call and at least give them a thank you. Yeah, I can hear myself a little bit in the echo from your end, but yeah, it's not terrible. Yeah, thank you again for the Inmarsat terminal. This thing is working pretty well once I got it all set up. All right, I really hope the audio worked on that. I don't know if it did. My camera isn't showing me the VU meter right now. I've been screwing around with different audio jacks and different microphones so much here that I don't know which audio has worked and which hasn't. In fact, I don't know if the audio is working now. So we may or may not have both sides the last call. We might just have my side. We're gonna try one more test before we call it a night. I have a friend who found an actual old-timey payphone, hooked it up, put it in his front yard, and we're gonna try to give him a call on a satellite phone to his payphone.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hello? I can hear you now.
Awesome. Yeah, I can hear you all right too.
I said, what brings you calling me at this time of the evening?
Well, I just wanted to test out the satellite phone here and see if I could call a payphone from a satellite phone.
All right, I hope the audio on that came through. I know the camcorder kept like auto leveling the white balance and the porch light behind me kept going on and off, so yeah, it's hard to film this at night. I really need to wrap up here. So we may be having audio issues, we may be having power issues. It's getting dark, the mosquitoes are coming out, but on the plus side, my pizza showed up, so that's always a good thing. I think we might try to wrap this video up here. We've gotten some pretty cool phone calls, a little bit of data. We've gotten some good stuff with the Inmarsat terminal. I think at this point I'm pretty happy with it, and that's enough for this video. Stay tuned for the next video. We might try to make some more phone calls. We might try to do some more cool things with it. So check that out. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any action. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.